So, Harry,
Mm-hmm.
what clique were you in high school?
In high school, I was a maths nerd.
You were a maths nerd. I can't say I'm completely shocked. I mean, how nerd are we talking?
Spent all my break times in the maths room.
Okay.
Only playing cards, not like playing numbers or anything. But yeah, it wasn't the coolest.
Oh, bless.
But I was with the people I wanted to be with, and I had a good time. And I look back on it fondly. So shut up.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Tell it to your therapist, babe.
And I definitely wasn't bullied at all for it.
Oh,
That never came up.
poor Harry. Well, now you get to bully me, so it's all you've come full circle.
Some films are fine just the way they are. Other films sometimes take it way too far. But really, how bad could it get? Let's go beyond the box set.
Welcome back, everybody, to Beyond the Box Set, the podcast where today we are pitching prequels, sequels, and spin-off ideas to 10 Things I Hate About You. We'll also be pitching some drinking games and hearing other sequel pitches from our Twitter followers. But first, we're going to talk about some of our favourite moments from the original movie and catch you up with a bit of a plot summary. I'm Harry, the host with the most girlfriends in high school.
How many?
4 if you count ones that lasted more than one day.
Oh, wow, okay.
And joining me as always, the Shakespeare of the show, is John Lucas.
I'll take that. It's unusually nice.
Yeah, that's part of the thing here. I like to give you an insult, but every now and then I'll throw you like a moderate non-insult.
Just keep me off guard. Keep
And
me
it
on my
just
toes.
comes off as a great compliment.
Okay, great. I see what you're doing there.
Anyway, so this film, 10 Things I Hate About You. What do you
Yes.
think?
Well, this was a you pick.
Uh-huh.
What led you to this one?
I just thought it'd be a good time.
Yeah. Have you seen it before?
Yeah, a long time ago.
A long
so
time
I didn't
ago.
really remember much of it. I remember that it had a really good cast. I think in my head, I remember the cast being much bigger and knowing more of the people than are actually in it. It's not a bad cast by any
No, not
means,
at all.
but I remember it as being like a big ensemble piece, and it's not really. There's like maybe 2 or 3 people who I actually know from other things.
It's a lot of people who you kind of go, oh, that person.
Yeah.
But only really 2 at best that you'd say are like famous.
Yeah.
One of whom is now sadly dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm about the same. I saw this many years ago. Hadn't really thought about it since, but I enjoyed it back then, and I enjoyed it this time too. It's a fun film.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's life changing, but I think it's one of the better like late 90s teen rom-com.
Yeah.
I like that this film has a healthy sense of absurdity. That's my favorite film about this
Yes.
film.
Yeah. It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Not in
and
the
it-
slightest. Yeah.
and it really could. But it also has, I'd say, a really good balance of just seriousness or
Sincerity, maybe,
Yeah,
yeah.
sincerity. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm looking for. When I compare it to something like Mean Girls or
Yes.
something, which just doesn't quite have that. It's got its absurdity, but not a lot much else.
Mean Girls has. I love Mean Girls, and isn't a criticism, but Mean Girls has a lot of absurdity and not a lot of heart.
Yeah.
And this has a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I did too. I did. There was a real trend in the late 90s for this kind of film. It started with Clueless, which is taking a classic piece of either literature or theatre. Because Clueless was a very kind of clever rewriting of Emma by Jane Austen. It's taking these classic literature things, like quite highbrow literary works, and then reworking them as high school rom-coms. So you had Clueless, you had there were more definitely. I think She's All That was Pygmalion, was supposed to be like My Fair Lady kind of thing.
Right.
And I'm sure there were other ones as well. There was Romeo plus Juliet. I mean, that's just a straight remake, but still with
yeah,
modern,
that's
but still with
different.
modern elements. It's still taking it into the modern age.
To an extent, but I wouldn't put it in the same class. as
No,
these.
that's different. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is The Taming of the Shrew. Basically. Another famous Shakespeare play.
Is the Heathers based off anything?
Not that I can think. Not. I don't think directly. Not in the same way. Like I don't think it's taken from a single classic piece. But it probably has some influences. I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was a funny little trend. It kind of came and it went, but I enjoyed it. And this is definitely one of the cleverer ones.
I think it's good because you can get these films like the teen comedies that don't normally have much of a plot. Whereas this one, it doesn't have a lot of a plot, but what it does have, it's somewhat complex.
You can definitely tell it's based on a play.
Yeah,
Because it
yeah.
is the plot is very engineered in the way that a play is. And it does have certain things that you can tell, okay, this is based on something older because these characters aren't even in the realms of a teen rom-com. The way they're behaving isn't how you typically see a teen rom-com.
No.
Like, it's just a slightly different plot construction, but I like it. It's interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Not without its problems,
No.
but I would say that, based on the original play, I think they took it a long way. Because the original play is it's Shakespeare. Obviously, it's very good, but it is hella sexist. It's really not a very. It's a very problematic Shakespeare play, which is why it's not one of the most performed ones these days.
Right.
It's basically about a man marrying a woman who has her own mind and a free will, and just basically breaking her spirit until she ends by announcing that every woman should be obedient to her man. So there's this, that's literally how it ends. I think her last line is that she beats up 2 other women for not being sufficiently respectful to their husbands, because she's totally respectful to her husband. It's
Oh wow.
it's aged poorly.
Wow.
So even though there were parts of this where I was like, ooh, I'm wincing a bit, some of the messages towards the way the women are being treated, it's still come a long way from where it was. So
Yeah.
We'll talk about some of those moments as we go through the plot summary, I'm sure.
Sure, yeah.
Now over here.
Oh my God.
What group is she in?
You don't even think about a group? Bianca Stratford, she's a sophomore.
I burn, I pine, I perish.
Of course you do. You know, she's beautiful and deep, I'm sure.
Yeah, but see, there's a difference between like and love. Because I like my Skechers, but I love my Prada backpack.
But I love my Skechers.
That's because you don't have a Prada backpack.
Oh.
Listen, forget her incredibly uptight father, and it's a widely known fact that the Stratford sisters aren't allowed to date.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Whatever.
Okay, so this is. Oh, where do I start with this? Because like who you'd class as the main character changes in this film.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it probably is Julia Stiles, but she doesn't get introduced as the lead. She kind of she's like the stealth lead.
It's kind of like Joseph Gordon-Levitt at the start, isn't it?
He's the first one you meet, yes, because he's an army brat.
Yeah.
Which means he's been in like 10 schools in 5 or 6 years. Like he hasn't stayed anywhere for very long.
Sure.
And so he's new in this new school in, I think they're in Seattle or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, we meet him. He's in the guidance counselor's office with Allison Janney, who is fabulous in this movie.
I wanted more of her.
She totally disappears. It's a shame because
she comes back at the end, or is it in the credits or something?
I think it's in the credits.
Definitely
yeah.
in the credits. I forget if she's in it a little bit before, and I'm like, oh yeah, she was in this. What's going on with that?
Yeah, because the first 10 minutes, you're like, oh, this character's gonna run away with this movie.
Yeah,
and she just disappears. But I mean, it's a great cameo. It's a lot of fun.
Totally.
It's this like amazingly. Well, she's a guidance counselor who's called Mrs. Perky or Miss Perky, which is a great name.
Yeah,
and she's writing a very explicit erotic novel while she's kind of half-heartedly not really attempting to do any guidance counseling at all.
No.
She's kind of like, you'll be fine. Everyone's a shithead in this school. Bye.
Yeah. And she's not subtle about writing this novel either.
Oh no, not at all.
Like,
she's not hiding it.
Karen, what's another word for throbbing?
Yeah. Again, I love that this movie has maybe similar to Mean Girls. It's a teenager could probably would and certainly watch this and like it, but it's got a lot of like adult humor.
Yeah.
And like the kids all swear and they're all having sex, and it's all like, it's not like infantilized or made into like a PG movie. Like they really let the teenagers completely act like teenagers.
Yeah.
Which is great. And most of them are played by teenagers. They look. There
it
varies wildly.
Yeah, there are some glaring.
Yeah, but I'd say Julia Stiles' sister, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt all look 17.
Yeah, sure.
Heath Ledger's a push.
Heath Ledger's a push. There are some side characters that oh, you are pushing 40.
Oh yeah, I mean, is it Michael, the friend who helps Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
The Jewish guy.
The Jewish guy, yeah. He could be anywhere between 21 and 35.
Yeah. You genuinely can't tell with him.
No, yeah, sure. But then some teenagers are like that. Some people do like hit middle age very early in life. So.
Oh yeah, totally. Who was it? Was it? It wasn't Heath Ledger's friend or something, but there's a guy with like a mohawk.
Oh yeah, no,
he's
45. Yeah, that's glaringly distracting. Yeah. If you take the extras into account, it's really
like he's going bald.
Yeah. No, there are some where you're like, is that a teacher or another student? Like, I have no idea.
There was a time when I genuinely didn't know. I genuinely wasn't sure if this was supposed to be a teacher or a student. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
My favorite was actually jumping ahead, but the archery scene.
Oh yeah.
For some reason, like I guess there's not that many people in on a set who are going to be comfortable holding a bow and arrow. But they do like a pan out of like all the different students doing their bows and arrows, and some of those women are literally 40. It's like, how are you even pretending that's a student? Come on, like, and they're only extras, so it doesn't matter. But it still made me laugh. Like,
Yeah. I wasn't sure if this film was sort of leaning into it at some points because it is funny.
yes, no, I think it.
I'm
If
not
it's
sure if
not,
it's just funny to us or if it's funny to everyone though.
no, I think it's probably. They wouldn't mind that people would be like, hey, they seem kind of old to be teenagers. Like that's everything in this film is like tongue in cheek. So
Yeah.
it's not like it spoils the illusion of this very realistic film, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, so Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's arrived at the school.
Yeah. So he's arrived like shortly before prom, it seems. And so straight off the bat, he's like, right, who am I taking to prom? And well, he pretty much immediately sees, what's her name?
The character
Julia
is called,
Stiles' sister.
Julia Stiles' sister, Bianca.
Bianca,
Bianca
yeah.
is the sister, yeah.
And he's like, whoa, that's amazing.
Again-
Like, not even like she's amazing, just like it's one of the moments in this film, there's a few of them where women are just not treated well.
No, well, I mean, yeah.
She's eye candy in this.
She's very much eye candy, yeah. But I did love the immediacy with which he was in love with her because that was one of the bits that felt very like play-y.
Oh yeah.
Because even in like a generic high school rom-com, they'll at least have a conversation.
Yeah.
Where this, he just literally looks at her and it all slows down and he goes, I pine, I love, I lust. It's like,
It's very Romeo and Juliet.
it is, it's great. And I was like, fine, okay, this is silly, but I'm on board.
Yeah. Shakespeare was repetitive, wasn't he?
Yes, he definitely had his themes, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he churned out a lot of shit, you know.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like anything. The famous ones are still famous. The rest people don't really talk about anymore.
I'd love to hear about some of the really bad Shakespeare
There's
plays.
some rubbish ones, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, he's like, okay, so how can I... He's made friends with another unpopular kid.
Yeah, played by David Krumholtz. Yeah.
Yes, and I guess that as a new kid to the school, you start on the bottom rung.
Yeah, David Krumholtz is giving him the tour.
Yeah.
And I love this scene.
It was very Mean Girls for me.
It's the scene that's in every one of these movies, but this movie took it to such an absurd place. I loved it because it's the scene that you get every time there's a teen movie. You get the new kid in school. That's the standard cliche, and then the geek or the old regular takes them around the school and points at all the different cliques. Like, here's the popular kids, here's the mean kids, here's the goths.
Yeah.
But in this film, it takes it to this next level of ridiculousness. It's like instead of like just being the generic, like, yeah, cheerleaders, goths, bullies, you know, whatever. It's like, so there's the caffeine addicts, there's the white Rastafarians, there's the cowboys, and there's the young investment bankers. Like, it's so funny. Cowboys and young investment bankers. It's so funny.
Like the investment bankers, yeah, sure. Like, you know, oh yeah, they've all got into Yale or whatever.
Yeah,
fine. And like, yeah, the white Rastafarians, like, they're a bit misguided.
Yeah.
Sure. Cowboys?
Yeah.
What are they into?
And it's a cowboy shit. They're just, you know.
How did that happen?
I know. I'm pretty sure Seattle's pretty far north, so I don't know. I liked it. I liked
Seattle's basically Canada.
You're right, yeah. But I just loved that one of the clicks was again. The film's just poking fun at these like ridiculous stereotypes that high school cliques get made into. So it's like, yeah, sure, why not? Cowboys,
Yeah.
just like with their lassos and their like 10-gallon hats. It really made me laugh. Just visual comedy. Like,
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. I really want to see more of just all of those.
yes,
cliques.
yeah, all those
'Cause
cliques.
The white Rastafarians, they're in it a bit more, but not very much.
They get some good like quick jokes. Like,
It feels offensive, but at least it's like poking fun at it.
no, it is offensive, but that's the thing. It knows it because the
Yeah.
scene with the teacher.
Yeah.
The English teacher who's black, and he says something.
I think he says like, don't even let me get started on you.
Yeah, because that's it. Because okay, so we get this introduction scene. So he falls in love with Bianca at first sight, and then David Krumholtz says, "Don't even bother with that one. Her and her sister aren't allowed to date. Their father's really controlling."
Yeah.
And then we meet the sister, which is Julia Stiles, in English class, and she is immediately like ripping into the
Is it me?
curriculum and the.
Is it me, or is English class in American films always just a group of kids in a room just talking about something,
Just vibing, yeah.
It's very rarely like the teacher teaching. It's just like, okay, we're debating, we're having a discussion. It was never like that for me.
You should have a really boring English teacher.
Yeah, I think I did. Also, I wasn't in like top class in English. I was somewhere down, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna put on the Wind in the Willows on tape, and you guys can listen along.
Oh dear. I know what you mean though. Like, yes, there is an element of that, but there's you're right. In American high school, like movies, they're always just like, oh, let's just vibe about this play and
Yeah.
forget what we have to learn about. Let's just vibe on it and just discuss among ourselves. But yeah, she's doing this whole thing about how Ernest Hemingway, who they're studying, was a sexist and an alcoholic and all this stuff. She's getting very forthright. She's like, why can't we learn about Sylvia Plath and Charlotte Bronte? And then the teacher who is black, it's like, oh yeah, poor little white girl, life must be so hard for you. And then the white Rastafarians are like, yeah, man, which is very offensive. But then he goes, don't even get me started on you guys. So like the film acknowledges it.
Oh,
like,
yeah, totally.
It's not like it's accidentally racist. It's like very much making a joke. Like,
Yeah, and it's hilarious.
yeah, it's absolutely hilarious. It was. I think that was the most I laughed out loud when just their reaction and then him just deaf staring them, and then they go, and then the way they just kind of fade back and they're like, okay, sorry, we know we're a joke.
Hey, Mr. Morgan. Is there any chance we could get Kat to take her Midol before she comes to class? Someday you're gonna get bitch slapped, and I'm not gonna do a thing to stop it. And Kat, I want to thank you for your point of view. I know how difficult it must be for you to overcome all those years of upper middle class suburban oppression. Must be tough. But the next time you storm the PTA, crusading for better lunch meat or whatever it is you white girls complain about, ask them why they can't buy a book written by a black man.
That's right, Mom.
Don't even get me started on you two.
Yeah, so then it. Wait, how does it go again? Is this when they go home back to their dad?
Yeah, so then we get a little bit of backstory about the two sisters and how they live with. They don't have a mom because it's a high school movie. No one's allowed to have two parents. It's not the way things are done in these films. Yeah, and their dad is very comedically overprotective.
Yeah,
like there's a scene when they do go out to a party and he makes one of them strap on a pregnancy dress beforehand.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there's a whole fight that they have about how he won't let the younger sister, who's like much more conventionally like popular and pretty and like, you know, girly, he won't let her go on any dates until the sister.
Well, first of all, it's like no dating.
It's blanket no date.
Like,
and then,
like no dating is not okay. Like I know what happens at these parties. I've been to these parties.
Yes, exactly.
And he does a lot of my favorite thing, which is adults being hip.
Yeah.
But it's not just adults being hip; it's adults being hip in the 90s.
Yeah.
And
So
I could tell it was like, oh, this is outdated adult hip.
Yeah. So yeah, it's layers of cringe. Yeah.
Which, you know, obviously it wasn't at the time. It was just adult being hip, which is great. But yeah, so he says like, yeah, dating not allowed, and she pleads with him. He's like, okay, well, you can go on a date to this party. You can go to this party with a date if you can get your sister to go on a date as well.
He's basically encouraging her to pimp out her older sister, which is essentially what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Because Julia Stiles, she doesn't date. Like she's so up herself that she just won't let anybody get close to her. She doesn't seem to have any friends at all.
She has that one friend, but sure.
Who?
The one who ends up having the weird William Shakespeare fetish. It's a plot line that is underexplored.
Very, very.
I feel like there were some scenes cut from that plot line. It just really comes and goes. But yeah, she does have one friend. But I know what you mean. She doesn't.
Yeah,
really,
and like she's not into guys.
No, very much not.
And yeah, like her dad just wants her to be normal and just have a normal life. Mm-hmm. He's a bit concerned for her because she's not very friendly. She doesn't get on with people, and I guess that he's concerned she's not going to do well in life because of that.
Sure, yeah.
So both of them can go if the older one gets a date.
Yes.
That's the premise of the movie.
Basically, yes.
So Bianca then comes up with this plan, which is it's kind of elaborate, is that she tricks Joseph Gordon-Levitt into thinking that she's interested in him, which by the end of the movie she is. Yeah. And obviously he's interested in her. We've already discussed that. And she says that like, okay, well, I'll go. Well, this is the thing that my dad said. You know, I can only go if she gets a date. So I want you to go and pay like the main bully.
I don't think she's the mastermind.
Is she not?
No, I think it's.
I really took it that she was. And so what she wants him to do is that she wants Joseph Gordon-Levitt to go and pay the bully. Well, he's not really much of a bully, but pay the jock or whatever.
Yeah. Joey, the model guy. Yeah.
Yeah, to go and find somebody for Julia Stiles to go out with.
I think my understanding of it, maybe I'm wrong. My understanding of it was that she pretends that she kind of feigns interest in Joseph Gordon-Levitt and says, "Oh, it's such a shame, but I can't possibly go out with you until my sister has someone to go out with." Yeah. And so she puts the seed in and like, okay, maybe he'll help her. But I think it's then Joseph Gordon-Levitt and David Krumholtz, they come up with the scheme to pay the rich guy, Joey, the model. I don't think she's aware of that at all.
Right, sure. I suppose that is better because then that makes her a little bit more innocent in this.
Yeah. In your version, she's a monster. Dude, that's where her sister. Yeah.
I mean, in your version, which one of them's right, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's also an antagonist in this movie, he's the monster.
Yeah, no, as I said, there is some questionable behaviour towards women in this film that we'll get to. But I mean, I think it'd be worse to literally pimp out your own sister like that.
Yeah, true. But that's what happens.
Yes.
So
it is very elaborate, and again, I guess that does betray the kind of the stage origins of the story, because it is that kind of classical comedy of errors kind of thing going on. So they know that they're not going to be able to get Kat to go on a date easily because she's so antisocial.
Yeah.
And so that we're gonna have to pay someone. We're just gonna have to pay someone.
Yeah.
But they don't have any money, so okay, well, let's trick a rich person, this rich kid Joey, into paying somebody else. It's so convoluted.
Yeah, it is.
Into dating Kat, and that somebody else is Heath Ledger.
Yes.
Who's like this mysterious bad boy.
Yeah. No one seems to know anything about him, or anything true about him.
Yeah.
Everybody knows a different myth.
Yeah.
Like,
which again are so. I feel like it's making fun of like again this archetype, this stock character of like the brooding, mysterious person. Like, I hear he's been in prison. I hear he ate a duck. Like, just so ridiculous.
He's only got one kidney.
Yeah, it's so ludicrous. I love that.
Ate a duck.
He ate a duck. He just left the bills and the feet. Like, that's a line.
Like they all come back as well. Just like, so do you want some duck?
Yes, yeah. I love that. There's lots of really good callbacks.
Should you be drinking? You've only got one kidney.
Yeah, the callbacks delighted me. They really did.
Yeah.
Does this conversation have a purpose?
What I think you need to do is you need to hire a guy who'll go out with her, someone who doesn't scare so easily.
That guy? I heard he ate a live duck once.
Everything but the beak and feet. Clearly, he's a solid investment.
And I mean, Heath Ledger doesn't seem to hesitate about this at all. Like initially, when you meet him, he's kind of like he doesn't like people. Like he doesn't seem to have any friends, and he doesn't look bothered by it at all.
No.
And
Lovely hair. His hair in this movie is luxurious. Like,
yeah. And so when the guy comes up to him and says, like, "Okay, I'll pay you $10."
I don't. Even in the 90s, that is a low going rate.
Yeah, that is
a
very
offensive
low
to Julia Stiles.
Yeah, I mean any amount is.
It is, but that low, like.
But I'm also thinking like, okay, so you needed to get a rich kid to do this, and by rich you mean has $10.
I know, right? Yeah. Like the economic. Well, again, considering some of the things that happen at the end of the film, the economics of these kids are hard to pass. They are curious because there's moments later in the film like, are you millionaires? Like,
yeah,
things happen. So,
yeah. And like Heath Ledger, he's in straight away, but he negotiates it up to 20.
Yeah,
I think it is
30. I think 35 or 30. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
still low for a woman's virtue.
Yeah. And he brings it up later in the film. It goes all the way up to 100.
Yeah. 100 a day.
Yeah.
At which point I'm like, okay, now we've got a going rate for what you're actually trying to do here.
Yeah, but like we've seen many films like this where the guy, for whatever reason, for bad reasons, needs to get with the girl.
Yeah.
But then he actually falls for the girl.
Yes.
So isn't doing it for bad reasons anymore. But that doesn't negate the bad reasons.
Yes.
But in this one, it's difficult to get over because first of all, it's quite bad.
It's pretty bad, yeah.
And then second of all, he asks for more money afterwards. It's not like once he's in, like he likes her and he wants to go on a date with her and he's like, okay, now I want more money for this. And it's like, okay, now you're getting deeper in, and it's like kind of like voluntary. Like even though you like her now would be your time to say like, no, this isn't right. Take the money back.
Yeah, no,
and they could still by that point do the plot line where she finds out later on, like, oh, you just did this for money. But like, no, I gave the money back. Like, oh no, I actually did it for more money than you know.
Yeah, there's so many lies in this movie. That's like it's got its problems. It certainly has its problems, but what are you gonna do?
And it really does such a disservice to her character.
Yeah.
By at the end of the movie,
she's come crawling back to him.
All right with it. Yeah. And like she has to like read some poetry and cry about him.
Yeah.
And like he's not really done anything to apologize.
He buys her a guitar. That's about it. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And that's a weird one too, because so it's when he's trying to ask her out or something. I don't know. and he's sort of following her around looking for the right time.
Yeah.
And he comes up behind her in the guitar shop. She's wearing headphones, playing his guitar to herself.
Yeah.
And he looks at her and smiles at her. She never knows he's there. The next time he speaks to her is in a completely different place.
Oh,
it's in a
right.
bookshop.
So it's full on stalking. Then,
It's actual stalking.
yeah.
And so then when like she sees that, oh, he bought me the guitar, like he was at that guitar shop.
Oh my god, this was a nightmare. Yeah. this one was a dark undertone. I didn't even pick up on that one.
So as apologies go, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I was stalking you.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm sorry for. I'm sorry for having to take money for it, being paid to do it. And yeah, it's just not nice that she takes him back at the end.
No,
Like,
I agree. He should have had to like beg more. He should have had to sing again at least or something, you know.
Yeah, or just do something really humiliating. He's never humiliated in this movie.
No.
And she really is. And like there's other bits that we'll get to where she is way more humiliated than he even slightly gets.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
So, yeah. Anyway, where were we? I really went off
You
on
went
one
off
there.
on one there. Yeah, that's so... so Heath Ledger has agreed for the low price of $20 or whatever it is to try and woo Julia Stiles. And he makes a few attempts at kind of, as you say, following her around. He borderline stalks her, finds out all the things she's interested in, which appear to be guitars, feminist literature, riot girl music, and hanging out in lesbian bars?
Yeah.
Question mark?
Yeah, that really confused me too.
That was fully a lesbian bar, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because I think it was when Joseph Gordon-Levitt said like, oh, she likes this band, she's going to see this band, so you need to go and see this band. It's in this club, and he's like, I can't be seen in that club.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? 'Cause it's going to work against your street cred.
Yeah.
And like he goes in, it's a lesbian bar. I'm like, oh, that's why. But then it's not, because like.
And also, one of the bar staff recognizes him. It's like, hey, Heath. Like,
Yeah. And like, because there are a few guys, there's not loads of guys. It's definitely way more women in there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look overly gay.
No.
And there are some guys in there who just seem to be at home.
Sure.
And he knows people in there.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure why he was so desperate to avoid that bar. It never comes up. Again,
No.
I felt like there was a scene missing there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Who was the person he knew at the bar?
I don't know. I think it's just the bar staff, but it just doesn't. It doesn't come up. I don't know. But anyway, he tries to get to know her interests, and he tries to hit on her a little bit, and she completely cuts him dead the first few times. Like she's not interested. She's very kind of icy and acid. You know, she's always got a devastating comeback to, you know. So she's not interested in the slightest.
But again, as often never comes up in films. If somebody says no, especially if they say no a few times, just stop.
Just let it go. Yeah.
Stop
Yeah.
right there. And also, like, learn someone's interests.
Yeah.
And like, you know, if you think that you're aligned in some form, then yeah, great. But don't like learn someone's interests in a stalky way and then make up lies to like, oh no, I do like this band.
Well, yeah, this is the kind of rom-com that gives real people bad ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
In many, many ways. So yeah, I think the next significant incident is that there is a wild house party, which is organized by David Krumholtz.
I love this.
This is one of the classic scenes. So it's at the house of one of the Young Investment Club, the head of the Young Investment Club, who has kind of done a hostile takeover and booted David Krumholtz out of the club. And so as revenge, he takes a flyer that he's put together for a cheese and wine evening, like a very posh hoity, and like photoshops it to say free booze and music evening or something. It's like wild party.
Yeah.
And just throws these leaflets all over the high school.
And I loved this because it looked like nobody at the high school had ever been to a party before, but they all knew what it was and they all knew the exact second it started. And like they were ready. Everybody was so on it. It was great. Oh, if only parties were like that in real life.
Well, definitely my favorite line of the movie, and one of the most famous quotable lines in the movie, is when they do turn up and you get the posh rich kids having their little cheese and wine evening, and then someone knocks at the door. It's like, oh, that must be Nigel with the Brie.
Yeah.
Great. What a line. And then he opens the door and the entire school just bursts in. And suddenly it's like a complete
Of
headiness
the
party.
two groups of people in that house, you know, Nigel with the Brie and all the teenagers who can't wait to get drunk.
Yeah.
Who are you closest to now?
Me?
Yeah, in your life. Like, which of those two groups are you closest to?
Depends on the situation.
I'm definitely Nigel with the Brie.
You're Nigel. Yeah, you're Nigel with the Brie. Sure.
Yeah.
You've always been Nigel with the Brie. Don't pretend you've never been anything different. You were Nigel with the Brie at high school. That's probably you and your little maths club.
Yeah, you probably. No, that's wrong. I hosted the best parties. Everyone said so. I hosted the
Okay.
best parties. Most people turn up to my parties. They were just great.
Okay. If you say so. Don't need to get so defensive. It's fine.
So yeah, this party is off the wall, and I love that it's just in a mansion.
Yeah.
It's in a massive mansion, but also nobody bats an eyelid about it, and they're ready with like kegs of beer, sound systems. All the cowboys have brought chewing tobacco.
Yeah.
Everyone's ready to just do their version of a party.
Yeah, it's like 5 different parties happening at once on top of each other, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. I think everyone in this film seems to live in a mansion. Again, it's American high school students where they all just seem to own these palatial mansions and nobody has parents unless it's...
And while we're vaguely on topic, oh my God, how fancy was that school?
Yeah. Oh God, the school. Yeah, I have a lot of questions about the school. Let's save it
Yeah.
for drinking. I have many questions about this.
Okay,
school.
sure.
But anyway, so Kat has reluctantly agreed to go to the party on her own, not with Heath Ledger. But while she's there, she just gets completely wasted. She gets white girl wasted, and she ends up dancing on the table to I think a rap song. I think it's like Notorious B.I.G. or something. I can't remember. Yes, she's doing a full table dancing moment, which the film lingers on a little bit more than I was comfortable with, but
Way more than I was comfortable with.
yeah, because she does look 16. I don't know if she actually was.
Yeah, it really undoes her character.
Yeah, I don't mean, and teenagers do get drunk and make fools of themselves, but yeah, it does kind of humiliate her a little bit, and then she ends up falling off the table and banging her head and kind of throwing up a bit.
Yeah.
And Heath Ledger saves her. Like, well, he takes her outside and he makes sure that she doesn't fall asleep, and he looks after her.
Yeah.
And he's very, very gentlemanly about it.
Oh,
and,
absolutely,
And
yeah.
this is the scene where she finally starts to warm to him a little bit. And so they kind of get to know each other a little bit. He drives her home, and then she goes in for a kiss, and he says no because
I was waiting for a joke here. I was waiting for no, your breath stinks.
yeah,
Because like she's already thrown up on his shoes.
yeah.
I was just waiting for something like that, but no, there was nothing.
No, he's just being very gallant. He's just like, no, you're too drunk. I don't think you'd make this choice if you were sober. So I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to wait. And if you still want to kiss me, kiss me tomorrow.
Yeah.
But she doesn't take it very well. She gets very kind of embarrassed and angry. She storms off. And then the next day,
And she's still feuding the next day.
she's really angry. I mean, she's embarrassed. She's a teenager. She's
I
embarrassed.
guess, yeah.
Yeah. But yes, so she is, the next day she's still completely freezing him out, and she's very angry and dismissive, and looks like he's missed his chance. So and on the same night, so before we get to the next day, same party, Bianca, the other sister, she's there with Joey the model, who she actually does fancy, which just breaks poor little...
It's just funny whenever you describe him as a model.
Well,
I loved all the modeling scenes that he was doing.
Yeah. The model.
Here's me with sunglasses.
Yeah.
Here's me with underpants.
Yeah, well, exactly. He's a complete dull dud because he thinks he's the hot shit.
Yeah.
So, but Bianca really fancies him, which just breaks poor little Joseph Gordon-Levitt's heart.
Oh, the scene, like that face, that heartbroken face that he does,
Well, yeah, it's very good.
pulls at your heartstrings.
Yeah, I know. We're getting flashbacks.
Yeah.
Yes, but then over the course of the night, Bianca realizes that Joey the model is just really dull and uninteresting and self-absorbed, and she doesn't particularly, she loses interest very quickly, and then she kind of allows Joseph Gordon-Levitt to drive her home. And okay, now these two are gonna have a meet cute and get to know each other and realize they've got really good personalities and they're really good friends after all. It's gonna be a nice happy romance. Oh no, that doesn't happen. No, he just gives her this full incel, complete incel rant about how he's a nice guy and he's done all the right things. He even pretended to learn French, and what was the point? Awful.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh God, well, she's going to get out the car now and storm off. And
You've not been watching the right film.
No, she's just she suddenly finds this inexplicably irresistible and kisses him.
Yep.
And that's kind of the end of their arc. For the rest of the film, there's
Now
another
they're
hour.
in love.
Yeah, there's another hour of this film, but they're just in love now. She's just into it. I was like, oh, that's the wrong lessons to be taken from Joseph Gordon-Levitt there.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they're together now, and the next day, Julia Stiles is still giving Heath Ledger the cold shoulder. So he decides to attempt to win her back by delivering a spirited performance of "Can't Take My Eyes Off of You," the classic Andy Williams swing song.
Yeah.
Well, he pays off the entire this scene. This is where money changing hands inexplicably. He'll go to the effort of faking a whole relationship with trying to trick a girl into a relationship for $10, How much does it cost him to get the band to do this for him?
I don't know.
A full brass band
Yeah.
steps in and does the full routine to Can't Take My Eyes Off of You.
Mm-hmm.
And he does the full song and dance on the bleachers. I mean, it's great. It is. This is one of those scenes, because this was Heath Ledger's first American movie, like the first thing anyone outside Australia ever saw him in. So, you know, big break off. It was like he did this, and then he did A Knight's Tale, and then after that he was a star. But yeah, you watch this and you're like, okay, yeah, this is why he got famous, you know, because it's such a good scene. Like the way he does it, it's not just so much the singing, which is fine. It's the way he does when he's running away from all the cops, and just all the physical comedy he does is so fun. It's really, really good.
It's hilarious.
It's a great scene.
Yeah. The pacing of it's great, but like paying off the brass band.
Yeah, God knows.
I mean, maybe like they were already out there doing practice,
and they were already learning that song.
Yeah,
so they'd have to.
Yeah, he must have gone on to like, what songs are you doing right now?
Oh, that's thematically fitting with what I'm going for right now.
Yeah,
sure.
I guess I could sing that. That'd be quite perfect, actually. Yeah, let's do that one. Yeah. Must be.
Only explanation.
Yeah. So this whole routine, it works for her.
Yeah. Oh, she's very impressed.
Like she's totally into it. And to go back on what I said earlier, I guess this is the closest he comes to being a little bit humiliated.
Sure, but not really, because he just looks really fun and sexy, and everyone loves it. Like no
true.
one's laughing at him.
But if you compare it to the street cred that he had before, when he was like, "Oh no, I couldn't be seen dead at that bar."
Yeah, he's opening up his heart.
Yeah, and now he's like, "I'll do a song and dance number." Yeah, sure.
Yeah, everyone loves it. Like it's not like anyone's like, "Oh, what a nerd." Like,
I mean, but after you do a song and dance number like that, you're no longer this mysterious bad boy.
True. Yeah.
You're like, oh, you're that guy who did that dance for the girl. Oh.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So he's kind of saying goodbye to all of that. But like I say, this is the only humiliation he gets in the entire movie, and it barely is.
Yeah.
Because everyone applauds him.
He does get dragged off by the police, which I thought was a little excessive for just a bit of singing. Like, what does he do wrong?
I don't know. Like,
is that song banned?
Like imagine you're a teacher at that school. Like, are you going to stop him from doing it, or are you going to just watch and enjoy it?
Yeah.
Like many other people, including adults, already are.
Yeah, if I was a good teacher, I'd be like, hey, have you thought of joining band? You got clear stage presence.
Yeah.
But he gets dragged into detention, where Julia Stiles comes up, and in one of the most uncomfortable scenes in the movie.
Really?
I don't know how this got past.
You just know it wouldn't today.
No. Today this would be
couldn't.
problematic with a capital P. Yeah, she goes to rescue him from detention by distracting the teacher by just fully showing her boobs to a 45-year-old man.
Yeah. I mean, it builds up with like she's feeling his muscles and stuff.
Yeah.
Like she's essentially feeling up this teacher.
Pretty much, yeah.
Just to distract him while Heath Ledger jumps out of the window, which he takes his goddamn time over.
Yeah.
How difficult is it to find your way to a window and jump out?
I mean, it seems this school is like 6 stories tall. I don't know how far he had to jump.
I mean, the fact he did it, like, why hesitate anyway?
Well, sure, yeah.
But yeah, and so like she has to flirt with this teacher, feel him up a little bit, and then
not even a hot teacher, like a gross older teacher.
Yeah. And then show him her breasts in front of a whole class of people who presumably all see the score as well.
Yeah.
And it's not great for her character, really, is it?
No, and again, it's barely mentioned afterwards. It's like comes up she doesn't even get into any trouble for it.
No.
No, I guess the teacher's not going to tell anyone, but like nobody mentions. The only time it's mentioned again is like at the end of the film when Heath Ledger says, "There's not that many girls who'd show a teacher their tits for me," or something. I can't remember the exact line.
Flash a teacher.
Flash a teacher. Yeah, he didn't say tits, but just that's it. It's like, oh great, that's another reason why she's so amazing.
Yeah,
she'll get her boobs out for a teacher.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I'm talking a lot of shit about this movie. I laughed at every second.
Oh no, this was very entertaining. Yeah, it's only when you look back at it with a kind of a more critical eye. But no, it's nothing taken away. These are very charming and funny scenes, and it helps that the acting is so good.
Yeah, very.
These are all very charming people, so you can kind of overlook it. So yeah. So he escapes from detention, and then they're just together, and they go on a like nice romantic pedalo. Green screen pedalos? What was this? This date was bizarre. Of all the things for them to be doing, why a pedalo on what looks like the ocean?
Yeah. I don't know.
They do that. They have like a little pedalo chat where they're just like, a really rickety looking one as well. Just the two of them awkwardly crammed onto a little bit of plastic with some pedals. Nothing holding them in.
No.
Right? Look, frankly dangerous.
No. And it would have been at sea.
I'd say it would have been very cold. Yeah.
Seattle is a coastal city.
Yeah, exactly. God only
I mean,
knows.
I think it would have been in the bay. It would have been more safe, sure, but like, still, I know.
Not my first idea for a hot date, but whatever. And then they get out of that, and then they go paintballing, but not as I understand paintballing.
Yeah, me neither. I was like, oh yeah, paintball, this will be fun. Where are the guns here?
What is it? It was paint. I've never seen this before in my life.
It's just throwing balls of paint at each other.
Yeah,
And
like I feel like this would be for me because my main issue with paintballing is that it hurts, and I don't like anything that causes pain to me. So this kind of paintballing I would find to be.
Sorry, I just like the little caveat you threw in pain to me.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, if it hurts anyone, I don't care. But like this kind of paintballing, I don't think it'd be my favourite thing, but I could probably get on board of it if I wasn't wearing anything too nice.
I guess it's better for like a cutesy date.
Yeah.
Because it's just like a snowball fight, really.
It is. It's a snowball fight with paint. I've never seen it before.
No, me neither. But I don't know if it is a real thing or if it's just like for the purpose of this film, like the two of them shooting each other with guns wouldn't quite have been as cutesy.
That wouldn't be quite.
No.
Wouldn't quite have the same impact, no.
No. You know, because this is something where they can like throw paintball at each other and then roll over in the hay and snog.
Yeah.
But you can't really do that with like actual paintball guns.
No.
It's like, ow, shit, that really hurt.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it does leave her with a fabulous dye job. The multicolored dye job, like when she leaves the paintball thing when they're sat on the porch.
I don't like it because the thing that distracted me was that there was red paint all around her ear and it just looked like her ear was bleeding.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't get over that. So
yeah, I thought the highlights of her hair looked pretty neat. I don't know. So her and Heath Ledger have a little heart-to-heart on the porch, and I think she kind of briefly accuses him of like maybe not being sincere or something. Like she gets some suspicion, and he's like,
"No." Because like he asks her, "So do you want to go to the prom?" Then he thinks like, "Okay, it's been a great day. This is my moment to ask.
Yeah,
do you want to go to the prom with me?" And then she's like, "Nah, I think it's all too much of a social construct, and I don't want to go." Which is what she was saying earlier in the film.
Yeah,
and he was like, "Oh no, please go on." And then she's like, "Oh, so why do you want to go so much? What's in it for you?" And she just kind of says that kind of innocently.
Yeah.
But then, because there is something in it for him, like $100 or whatever, he suddenly gets all super defensive because he's actually really bad at lying.
Yes. Well, he doubles down on his lies.
Well, yeah.
At this moment, yeah.
But like before now, he's been completely confident and happy and everything. But then he's suddenly like, he's lying and he's not good at it.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know what the truth is, but she sees that he's lying pretty much straight away.
Yeah.
And they fall out of that.
They do fall out a little bit, but I think they do end up they make up again, and she apologizes for mistrusting him, I think.
Yeah.
And then they do go to the prom, and we get the high school prom scene, which is again in this like concert hall. Like I know Americans like really go push the boat out with these things, but I was like, what is this school?
Yeah.
What is this school? There's like a full band, like, but even the band seems like a wedding band. It doesn't seem like a bunch of kids maybe playing a bit of punk music or something. This is like a full ska band that you would hire at like a middle-aged person's wedding.
I was thinking, because I looked at the band and I was like, okay, that's an 8-piece, like, that's a very good band, well put together. Like, they're not young either. They're all like in their 40s.
That's what I mean. They're like
imagine being in that band and be like, why are we still doing proms?
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
That would be really degrading.
That's what I mean. It's like, what a weird booking.
Yeah.
And then, so they're having a great time. This one band's playing, and then another band comes on.
Yeah.
Who are like even more famous. It's like Saving Clear or something. They're a real band.
Yeah.
And
I assumed they were real.
Yeah. And they're Julia Stiles' favourite band. And she's like, oh my God, you're my favourite band. And Heath Ledger's like, oh yeah, I paid for them to come.
Yeah.
Like, what? Where? With what money? Where did this come from? You just paid like a headline act.
Just out of his $100.
Out of his $100, just a little bit of side money, yeah. The economics of this movie are bewildering, but whatever. So,
and the thing is, when he buys that guitar for her at the end, and she's like, how could you possibly afford it? Like, what about everything else that he's bought? He bought a headline act.
Yes.
And like, there's all the other stuff, and he's like, oh, well, I had some change from the $100 that I was given. And like, so how does the guitar cost like 30 cents?
This isn't the sequel I wrote, but I kind of wish now I'd written a sequel where there's like a side plot where Heath Ledger's actually just Breaking Bad. Like he's just selling meth. So he actually is exactly as dark as all the rumors are, even more so. Darker than these kids could even possibly imagine.
He's not just missing one kidney, he's missing both.
He's missing both, yeah. And he's got this whole
he
double
doesn't
life.
need kidneys. He's got ducks for kidneys.
Yeah, well, okay, now you're just getting into the realms of the surreal, but okay. But I love this idea that he's just like this like very high wire drug dealer, which is why he's got all this money to like woo Julia Stiles. But That's not the direction this movie takes. No. But yeah, at the prom, I think she overhears because Joey the model doesn't. He kind of angrily confronts Heath Ledger because it's not worked out with him and Bianca because Bianca's now dating Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So Joey the model's like, I paid you to do that, and Julia Stiles overhears and obviously is completely horrified and storms off. And it seems like it's all over. Joey the model also tries to pick a fight with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, tries to push him down, or does push him down, and then Bianca punches him in the face. But then at this point, I didn't know if Bianca already knew the whole story behind what had happened, because it feels like she learns at this point that Joseph Gordon-Levitt engineered the whole thing with her sister.
Yeah.
Which you'd think she'd be mad about, but she's just not even the slightest.
Oh, she just loves him so much.
Yeah, he's just so lovable.
I did like, I mean, it was terrible for the character, but I really liked her best friend.
Gabriel Union, yeah.
Yes. How she's like, oh, well, if you're not going to go with him, the model, I've forgotten his name.
Yeah, Joey.
Then can I? Yeah. Like, please. And like
Sloppy first.
Yeah, and like she's really sort of pleading, and it's like, oh God, you really want just like the sloppy seconds of your best friend, of this guy that you both know is a really bad guy.
Yeah.
Like there'd be no secret that like he's just a dickhead of a model, and like I guess he paid Heath Ledger as well, and like he's just an all-round bad guy. But you really want him.
Yeah, these girls need to work on their self-esteem for real.
Yeah, have some standards. Come on.
You know what it is? They need a better guidance counsellor.
Yeah.
Allison Janney, not doing her job. Clearly not doing her job. Not building these girls up in the slightest.
I reckon she wrote this.
Allison Janney wrote the screenplay.
Well, I mean her character.
Her character could well have written. Actually, now that I think about it, she is really bad for these girls' self-esteem. Because there's a scene, I think the first scene with Julia Stiles, or one of the first scenes, when she goes to the guidance counsellor, she says something like, you've got a reputation about being around the school for being, well, a heinous bitch. And maybe you should work on that. Not like, maybe be more confident and maybe try and be more open to friendship. It's just like, no, you're a heinous bitch and you need to try and be better at not being a heinous bitch. So like really chipping away at these women's self-esteem. Whereas at the boys, you're just like, oh yeah, they're all shitheads. Just boys will be boys. Like toxic masculinity being taught in the school. 100%.
Yeah.
So, I hear you were terrorizing Mr. Morgan's class again.
Expressing my opinion is not a terrorist action.
The way you expressed your opinion to Bobby Ridgway. By the way, his testicle retrieval operation went quite well, in case you're interested.
I still maintain that he kicked himself in the balls.
The point is, Kat, people perceive you as somewhat...
tempestuous?
Heinous bitch is the term used most often. You might want to work on that.
So it's all fallen apart now. Kat and Heath Ledger, they have fully broken up, and we have some more sad school scenes where they're just in class together and they're not talking, and she's really upset.
Yeah. And
then in English, she gets up and she reads out her terrible, terrible poem.
Oh my God, it was so bad.
And this is where the title of the movie comes from. And I couldn't really figure out why.
Well, because it
felt really crowbarred in.
Well, yes, it was, absolutely. But it was just a list of things that she doesn't like about Heath Ledger.
Sure.
But told in a poetic way that, like, even though I don't like all these things about you, I do actually like you.
Yeah, I still love you.
She said through her tears.
Yeah.
And it was no good.
No.
It was the cherry on top of the bad character writing for her.
Yeah.
But the thing that annoyed me the most, there were 15 things.
There weren't even 10. I guess it doesn't.
It doesn't roll off the tongue, sure.
No, it's not a great poster title, but
no. But 15.
But it kind of feels like the title of this movie came first, and then they were, we need to figure out a way to insert this into the movie. So make her write a poem.
Yeah.
I don't know where this. Maybe there's a simple explanation. I don't know where this title came from because it doesn't really fit with the rest of the movie.
No,
because the movie
it's not about hate.
No, the movie. If the movie was like about the list,
it's not overly about love.
No, well, it's basically a rewrite of the Taming of the Shrew, and I guess they just couldn't figure out a way to like reword that in a way that would sound high school and hip. So
yeah,
I guess it kind of rhymes, doesn't it? The Taming of the Shrew, 10 Things I Hate About You. It's the cloak, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
That's the only thing I can think of. Like it kind of sounds the same, But it really feels like this poem was like crowbarred in.
Yeah.
Like really crowbarred in.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because you're right, it does make her character even weaker when she just kind of, she just has a big, she's like, I can't believe I still love him. Wah! And then that's literally it. And then she runs off to the car and then he does apologize to her, sort of. Buys her a guitar, I guess showing that he respects her interests. So, little things there. And they kiss and they live happily ever after.
Yeah.
And, credits roll. The band from the prom are now playing on the roof. I don't know if Heath Ledger's paid for that or not, but it's quite a good shot. Like,
it's a really good shot.
Yeah, they actually had to get a helicopter to shoot that.
Yeah, I was wondering how they got the band up there because like there's not much roof access there.
Yeah, no,
and it's a very tall roof and there's no rails or anything.
Yeah, no. So the shot was done with a helicopter, so they got with cameramen inside. Obviously.
Yeah.
And apparently the director told the band like, you need to get this right because it costs us $500,000 every time we do this. So
really,
yeah. So the lead singer was like, she saw this helicopter coming, like swooping towards her very close, and she's like, it was terrifying. I didn't know if it was like out of control or anything, but I just knew that if I tried to move, I'd cost the company $500,000. So
whoa,
it's a high pressure gig.
Wow,
for a shot that doesn't really make any sense. It's a nice shot.
So what, like $500,000 just for one like flyover from a helicopter?
I don't know.
Does it really cost another $500,000 to just get the helicopter to circle around and do it again?
Maybe they just told her that. I don't know. That's just what it said on IMDb. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So there you go.
Helicopters are pricey. I'm sure filmmakers are so happy they've got drones now.
Yes.
They just cost a few hundred.
Much less distracting for the artists as well. Just a tiny little thing buzzing around them.
Yeah.
But yes, so Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles end up together, as do Joseph Gordon-Levitt and the other sister. There's the subplot we didn't even talk about at all about David Krumholtz and Julia Stiles' friend who has a crush on actual Shakespeare. Very
and so then he starts going by the name William, and for the prom he's not dressed up as William Shakespeare.
No, he's not dressed as Shakespeare at all.
Which I just didn't understand. Like, why are you not dressed as Shakespeare?
He just seems to write these weird little love notes in iambic pentameter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that he was dressed as a character from a Shakespeare play.
Possibly, yeah. I didn't recognize which one. But
yeah, exactly. He
didn't have like an ass's head or something, like one of the famous ones, you know.
Yeah, there was nothing like that. And she was referring to him as William.
Yeah.
So like, okay, so it like you love Will Shakespeare and he's going to be your Will Shakespeare. Fine, I get it. But just do the look.
Yeah.
It's a famous look.
I wanted more of that plot line. I felt like it was very underwritten.
Yeah.
For something so odd.
Yeah. But also, this film was 1 hour 37.
I respect that.
And I wouldn't want it to be longer.
No, I agree. These kind of movies, more than any others, benefit from being brief.
Yeah.
Nobody wants a 2.5 hour teen rom-com.
No. Has there been one?
Oh, sure there has.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just picturing what a film like this, but directed by Zack Snyder, would look like.
Yeah. More people would explode. You know?
Yeah. Do you want to do some drinking games?
Sure, yeah. Hit me.
So, first of all, drink for non-teen teens.
Drink for non-teen. You have that as well. Drink every time you see a 35-year-old extra in high school.
Yeah.
Oh, it's me. Sorry. Drink. Sorry. I'm not used to being sober doing this. I'm really bewildered. Drink for bad teaching. It's been discussed. Obviously, we've got Allison Janney as the very unprofessional guidance counsellor.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've got the English teacher who basically, whenever Julia Stiles says anything, even like, oh, thank God, that's going to be really interesting to learn about. Go outside. Leave my classroom now.
Yeah, he just hates her. He's got a personal vendetta against her.
Yeah.
Also, Heath Ledger just walks in and out of his class at random, and he barely.
No one cares.
No one cares. Yeah. There's obviously the worst of all the teachers is the PE teacher who just looks at a girl's boobs, doesn't say, hey, you shouldn't do that, that's inappropriate. He just like score.
Yeah.
This school has some issues. I really do think there's a lot of problems with the teaching in this school.
Yeah, absolutely. Drink for comical accents.
Comical accents. Which ones tickled you?
My favourite one was the archery teacher.
Oh yeah. That was another random little scene.
It really was, yeah.
When someone gets shot with an arrow. Again, you'd think that'd be quite a big issue in the school. You know, the insurance or, ambulance, but
yeah, I don't know.
Happens in the background. She just accidentally shoots a guy in the arse.
Imagine doing archery in school.
I know, again, what is this school?
Yeah.
What is this school of all the things to learn? Archery.
Yeah, like the most we did was javelin. And then when that apparently got too dangerous, there was a myth or a rumor, I don't know, that somebody once got a javelin through the neck.
Oh, that was a rumor in every school, Harry.
Cool.
Never actually happened.
And that's when all the javelins got replaced with foam javelins.
Yeah.
It was hilarious because sometimes you'd throw it and the wind would catch it and it would just go behind you. You'd be like, okay, so I scored -5 meters. Yeah, it was not good. Drink for side characters.
Drink for side characters. Sure. This movie has a lot of they come and go. It's got a lot. Yeah, as you mentioned, you've got. I guess David Krumholtz is a side character. He's like the he's definitely the sidekick who kind of pulls all the strings without actually having any kind of particular motivation for being a part of the story.
Yeah. I guess he just wants friends.
He just wants to hang out. He likes having friends. He wants revenge on Nigel and the Brie.
Yeah. Whenever you see like the cowboys, for example.
Yeah. The cliques. Yeah.
Or the Rastafarians, because they'll come back a little bit.
Heath Ledger's middle-aged punk mate. He's a good one. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Drink for questionable feminist lessons. We've discussed it already. But drink every time the women or the girls in this film are given bad messages, and the film doesn't really take many pains to correct them in any way.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Drink for inappropriate teacher-student behavior.
Yeah, I mean, I'd file it on the bad teaching, but absolutely, certainly. Drink every time there is a Shakespeare quote or reference.
Oh yeah,
there's quite a few lines that are quite clearly just taken from the Shakespeare play or possibly other Shakespeare plays.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's a lot. Obviously, the reference of the one girl who's got a crush on William Shakespeare. And
yeah,
there's a lot sprinkled in there. They let you know where it's all coming from for sure.
Yeah, the bad guy's surname is Verona.
There we go. Yeah, it's Verona. The school's like Pangaea High or something. It's all references. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Drink for kissing.
Drink for kissing. Yeah.
Yep. A lot of it.
And
a lot of it is that very teenage kissing where they just go straight in for a snog and it looks awful.
Yeah, it's just like straight like that, tongue right down. Yeah, no foreplay, just straight tongue down the throat, just tonsil tennis from the get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's another awkward scene at the party when some drunk girl tries to like kiss Heath Ledger and he just kind of he literally just shoves her onto another guy.
Yeah.
And the guy kisses her and kind of goes, "Thank you." And you're like, "Oh, that's kind of creepy, but I guess that's kind of funny." Yeah. And then 10 minutes later, the movie's still going and the party's like been going on for a few hours. Clearly everyone's a lot drunker. Mm-hmm. And then they're just like, same couple are just like about to have sex. And the guy grabs Heath Ledger again and goes, "No, for real. Thank you." I'm like, date rape. This is date rape. Someone rescue that girl. Like,
yeah, it's weird.
It's odd. Yeah. There's a lot of that. I keep saying there's a lot of oddness in this movie. Drink every time you wonder what the hell is going on at this high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It just seems like a very strange place. Like, the teachers are all very much checked out. It seems to vary in size dramatically. It's absolutely massive in certain scenes. Like,
well, I looked it up. Like, it is a real high school.
Oh, is it? Wow.
And it does have that football ground as well. That's really amazing. And like, the whole thing's on a cliff in Seattle. It looks proper fancy.
So it probably is like a big private school then. Yeah.
I would assume so. Yeah. But also, like, all the shots in this, they make it look like it's like probably got a massive grounds or like it's in the middle of countryside or something. But like, if the helicopter was facing the other way, it's just in a regular like city block.
Oh sure, yeah, it's cleverly framed.
Yeah. But still, that school it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Imagine going to school there.
I don't know. Yeah, all these American schools, they feel, because I went to quite a relatively small school. I feel like you'd just be so intimidating to be in such a giant like hundreds and thousands of pupils.
Like those are the sort of buildings I expect to be universities.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where you maybe know 8 or 10 people and everyone else is a complete stranger to you.
Whereas, you might know a fraction of a percentage of the students there. Mm-hmm. Whereas this one everyone seemed to just know everybody. It was weird. Drink for a myth.
A myth.
Yeah. So like there's a lot of he's only got one kidney and stuff
like that. Oh, I see, yeah.
And there's myths about Julia Stiles as well.
Yeah. I like that actually. Because that was something that was very true of high school where, kids just spread random tall tales.
Stuff about the javelin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Urban myths and stuff. So, yeah, that was good. My last one is drink every time money changes hands.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because like I said, there's there's the literal bartering for Julia Stiles' virginity. Mm-hmm. But also, Heath Ledger seems to have, at certain points in the movie, an inexhaustible amount of money. He can afford to pay for top flight bands. He can afford to buy a guitar. He can do all sorts. So, yeah. I just thought with the constant exchanging of money was kind of a funny little runner in this film.
Yeah. Last one I got is drink for a dodgy lip sync.
Drink for dodgy lip syncing. Is that when Heath's Can't Take My Eyes Off of You anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all the bands as well. Like,
sure, yeah.
Like they're not all perfectly lined up, and it's like, yeah,
I'm sure, yeah.
I can tell that you're real bands, but this just isn't quite working for you.
Yeah.
So yeah. Cool. Well, if you want any more drinking games, you, the listeners, you want to hear some more things we've got to say about drinking games, more sequel ideas, and more listen submissions, then if you go to patreon.com/beyondtheboxset, subscribe for as much or as little as you think they were worth, you can get extended versions of this very episode that you're listening to. You can also get a bonus show called Beyond the Box Set, where we review recent releases. And also once a month, you can have a 30-second advert slot on the main show. You can talk about your own podcast, your own business, whatever you want to chat about. All that available at patreon.com/beyondtheboxset.
Indeed.
Let's see, Alex. What do you think of Jaws, which is at 97% Rotten Tomatoes?
I find it to be anti-shark propaganda. What do you feel about the Entourage movie, which is at a meager 33%?
I think they finally got Hollywood right. How about It Follows, 97%?
Worse than your parents giving you the sex is evil talk. How do you feel about Juno, which is at 94%?
That would be a movie that celebrates a teenage homewrecker. How about Bewitched at 25%?
Best television adaptation ever put to film. How do you feel about American Hustle at a towering 93%?
Overwrought awards bait. Righteous Kill, 19%.
The movie that Michael Mann wishes he had made when he created Heat.
Sounds about right. I'm Julio.
I'm Alex, and we are the Contrarians.
As you can tell, our thing is that we rage against the Rotten Tomatoes machine,
regardless of what we really feel.
Find us on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn,
Facebook, Twitter, we're everywhere.
Okay, so sequel ideas.
Do you want to go first?
I can go first. It's with you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. I'll go first then. So I have gone, predictably enough, for a direct sequel to this.
Okay.
Yeah. It's 20 years have passed, so 1999 to 2009, but... No, sorry, to 2019. Sorry.
Yeah.
But it could be any time. It's not particularly specific, so roughly 20 years have passed. Let's just bring them close up to present day.
Yeah.
And it's going to be centered around Julia Stiles' character. Obviously, we can't have it still be with Heath Ledger because he has sadly passed. But actually, I think that kind of makes sense. I don't think that's too difficult to write around because I don't really feel like this movie was telling us that they were going to be together forever.
Oh, I think it was.
Well, no, but I mean that kind of high schooly, like, oh, well, we're still together at the end, yeah. But like,
Yeah.
it felt like a high school relationship that would run its course, I think.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I don't think it's too hard to believe that they would not stay together, and and they would, she goes away to college at a certain point. And she's gonna have a
true.
life,
Yeah.
And actually, my thought is that she moved because that was another plot line that was kind of we didn't discuss too much because it wasn't terribly interesting. But her dad wanted her to stay local, and she wanted to go to the other side of the country, like a posh university somewhere else.
Yeah.
And eventually the dad lets her go, whatever. So I'm saying she did move away from university, and so she's been living her life away from home for 20 years now. And now she's living a high-powered life in New York. I think she should be running her own publishing house that specializes in feminist literature or something like that. Something. So she's still got that fiery spirits that she had in the original movie, but she's also like living the high life and a very very businessy corporate world kind of thing. She's not with Heath Ledger anymore, like I said. And I think she might even now have come out as a lesbian. I think those signs were there, and I think a few more years of self-discovery, maybe she decides she prefers women.
Sure thing.
She did love that bar and all those. Not that everyone who's into going to Riot Girl stuff is necessarily a lesbian, but I just thought,
sure,
maybe
yeah.
she's. Who knows?
Yeah, no, that works.
That doesn't actually play much into the rest of my plot though. But I'm thinking we're going to catch her at kind of a low moment in her life. So she's at this, she's moved away, she's built this new life for herself. And at the beginning of the movie, this sequel, it's all going to tumble down a little bit. So her publishing house is going to go out of business. Maybe she's going to publish a book that's like a complete flop and it just like that she really believes in, but it just doesn't sell and it gets bad reviews and it bankrupts the whole company. So then her business is crumbling. Her long-term girlfriend dumps her, leaves her, so she's single again. And things are looking tough. And then she gets a phone call from Bianca, her sister, who is still living back in the old town, back in Seattle. She never really moved away.
Yeah.
And she actually married Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and they have a teenage son of their own now.
Right.
And so, she calls Kat, and she kind of complains that, she's having to do all the work now because their father is still there, but he's quite old now. He's like in his late 70s, and he's in like relatively poor health. So he needs kind of help around the house and stuff. And Bianca's like, I have to do everything and I just can't take anymore. I need some support. And so because Kat's in a kind of a low point anyway, and she's got no money coming in, and she's got nothing going on in New York. She reluctantly agrees to come home for a few months and helps look after her dad while he's unwell. So she does. She reluctantly, half-heartedly travels back to the town from the original movie in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And so she comes back home, she moves in with her father, helps him out a little bit, and reconnects with the family, including her sister. And her sister confesses that her and Joseph Gordon-Levitt have been having a hard time in their own marriage because they've been together for a long time now. And their son is a teenage boy, and he's been acting quite strange. Like he's been very withdrawn, and he's not really talking to them very much, and he seems really upset. And they're really concerned that he might be getting really horribly bullied or be caught up in something. Like they don't know. Yeah. So Bianca asks Kat to help out, and she says, actually, I've heard rumors that Miss Perky, the guidance counselor, is finally retiring.
Right, okay.
Because she's finally made millions from selling her erotic novels on the post 50 Shades of Grey kind of wave of popularity for those kind of books. So she's made it, and she's finally retiring, which means there's a spot in the school for a part-time guidance counselor.
Sure.
Which you could totally do while looking after dad. That could be another thing that you do.
Yeah.
So Kat reluctantly agrees to apply for a job as the guidance counselor at the school. I think that'd be really fun because she's such a catty. That's a bad. Well, I didn't mean that pun. She's really icy, and she's just she doesn't take any shit. Like I think if she's still that grumpy all the time and just says what she thinks, that she could be like a really harsh guidance counselor. Yeah, that could, and she could like really make some good relationships with the kids.
Yeah, I think that'd be a really good role for her.
Yeah, exactly. So she takes that role, and I think she gets hired very easily because David Krumholtz is now the head teacher.
Makes perfect sense.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah. I think maybe it's a good excuse for bringing him back, and also he could be like offer the role as kind of a way of apologizing for his role in. He could offer her the job as his way of apologizing for his role in,
basically, Heath Ledger to paying Heath Ledger.
Basically, that whole thing to barter for her virginity, which she's still pretty mad about. So so he gives her the job as the guidance counselor, even though she's not particularly qualified. And so she starts working as the guidance counselor for the school. And I think there could be a whole plot of this part of the movie where she's getting to know all these troubled kids and giving them really harsh advice, but maybe some of it works and she helps some of them out. And that's the first part of the movie. So then the situation with her nephew, Bianca's son, she does some digging, and it turns out that he's not actually being bullied or anything too bad. He's just madly in love with a girl. Yeah. And this girl, no matter what he does, no matter how many schemes he tries to pull, no matter how many like lies he tells or whatever, she's not interested. And he's tried with his mates to do all those kind of high school hijinks rom-coms to kind of like trick her into falling for him. And Julia Stiles gives him like a bit of tough love and says, look, just ask her out. If she says no, respect her wishes and then leave her alone, and maybe someone else will come along. Yeah. Yeah. And so she's like, you know what? People screwed around with me when I was in high school. It wasn't fun. It sucked. Don't be an incel like your dad, which is not what is not what you expected to hear at all. But no. Yes, I think she sets him straight, and then she tells her sister Bianca, there's nothing to worry about. It's just puppy love. He's not in any serious bad shape, and I've set him on the right path and all this kind of stuff. So Bianca is very grateful that her sister has done this for her. So to thank her, the two sisters decide to go for a night on the town. They go to maybe that same lesbian bar or whatever, but they go to a bar in town, have a few drinks, just get caught up because they've not really spent a lot of quality time together in a while. So while they're there at the bar, Bianca briefly excuses herself and goes to the bathroom, leaving Kat alone at the bar. And while she's alone at the bar, a familiar figure shuffles up or slinks up behind her, puts an arm around her. She turns around. It's Joey the model. Nice. 20 years later, Joey the model. Yep. Although, sadly, the years have not been terribly kind. Oh, dear. Joey the model has not aged well. He's not nearly as sexy as he was. But in his own mind, he's still like hot stuff. Yeah. So he's like, I'm thinking like a classic sleazeball, like.
I'd love it if she turns around. He's already posing.
Yeah, he is. He still thinks he's delusional. He still thinks he's like the sexiest thing in town, but he's completely not. He's just a classic sleaze, really repugnant. And she's obviously gives him absolutely nothing back. Like she just like ices him. She's like not interested. But he kind of like, he's probably drunk as well or half drunk. And he's like, well, you change your mind, and leaves and gives her his number basically. And then he kind of shuffles off. I don't know. And then Bianca comes back and Kat tells what's happened. She's like, you'll never believe who just tried to hit on me. And then Bianca looks and sees, and she's like, oh, he just did the exact same thing to me. Sounds like he gave his number to both of them. And they're both just like really like, oh, what a sleaze, what a loser. And so then they decide, you know what, he's always been a piece of shit. He's always been trash. Why don't we have some fun? Why don't we get some revenge on him?
Oh dear. This isn't going to go well.
No. So they devise a plan where they both text him back the next day separately, pretending that they are actually interested in meeting him, and that they were really
at the same time. And they're gonna.
Well, no, they stagger it. It's not like two.
Oh, okay, it's not a doubtfire situation.
No. They're both individually pretending. So
yeah,
I think.
Oh, that'd be a reverse doubtfire, would it? No.
What,
no.
with two people pretending to be the same person?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. They're both being themselves. There's no secret identities here.
Okay.
Yeah. So they both decide to pretend that they actually are interested and to manipulate him into making a fool of himself.
Yeah.
So, first of all, Bianca, she texts him and says that she's interested and asks him to send her some erotic photos. Yeah, because she thinks, oh well, we'll just laugh at these. It'll be hilarious because he's such a gross slime ball. And so he does. He sends her some very embarrassing, like attempted sexy photos that he thinks are really sexy. Unfortunately for Bianca, she kind of does this, but she's also a busy working mum. You know, she forgets she kind of forgets about the prank and kind of puts her phone down for a little while. And who should catch sight of it but Joseph Gordon-Levitt? And suddenly he thinks that his wife is having an affair with Joey the model, who obviously back in the day was her love interest. So he's like very insecure.
Yeah.
And he doesn't tell her that he knows, but he's just very depressed. He's like, oh my God, my wife's having an affair with Joey. So that makes him very depressed. At the same time, Kat also texts Joey the model and invites him to come and meet her for some sexy times in the old school gymnasium. So she instructs him to meet her there at a certain time and to get naked and to wait for him there, for her there, and that she would meet him and they'd have some fun. So he goes at the allotted time, he breaks into the school, sneaks into the gymnasium, gets naked, and then poses in what he thinks is like a sexy pose across the bleachers, just, you know, doing it all. Unfortunately, as soon as he's got comfortable, the doors swing open, the lights come on, and the entire brass band comes marching in. Because she's timed it perfectly so that he would arrive and get like in a compromising position just minutes before the brass band rehearsals start, basically.
Got it, yeah.
So he's forced to like grab his clothes and run out naked out of the school and just go running through the streets naked, you know, trying to hide, you know, completely humiliated.
Please tell me you just hear a trombone go.
Of course you do. Yes, exactly. Of course you do. Maybe there's like he has to run across like the school and like his bits are camouflaged by trombones.
Yeah.
It's all that, yeah. So he runs out the school. He's naked. He's humiliated, but he's still too delusional to realize that the girls have actually deliberately embarrassed him. He thinks it must have just been a bad luck, you know?
Yeah.
So, and he texts Cass and she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. They caught me on the way in. Yeah. But still trying to string him along a little bit. So then Bianca texts him and says, come over to my place. My husband's out. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
So he comes around to her place. And again, she waits till he gets all naked. And then just as they're about to do the deed, the front door slams. And Bianca's like, oh my God, shit, my husband's home. You have to leave right now. And he's like, well, I get dressed first? And she's like, no. And she basically pushes him out the window into the garden.
Right, yeah.
Again, fully naked in full daylight. Once again, he's humiliated.
Yep.
And then Kat comes running up the stairs because it was her who slammed the door. And the two sisters are just basically pointing and laughing at him. Just like, what? No. And now he knows that they're just very pleased with this prank that they've pulled.
So harsh.
It's very mean. I know. But as they're like laughing at poor Joey as he's trying to put his clothes back on and scurry away humiliated, the front door slams again. And this time it really is Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
And he is hammered.
Right.
Because he's having found out that, as far as he's concerned, that his wife is having an affair. He's gone on a complete drunk and depressed spiral. And he's just gone to a bar and drowned his sorrows. And now he's hammered and he starts accusing Bianca of having an affair and he's crying. And he's like, and then the two sisters realize, okay, we went too far.
Yeah.
This prank went way too far. And so Bianca explains that, no, we were just doing a prank and we weren't actually, there's no affair. Nobody's cheated on you. Thinking about it, what we did was pretty cruel. So they apologize to Joey and they throw his clothes back to him so he can have his dignity. And
I like the idea that he's just still waiting outside the window.
He's got no
like
clothes.
Stark naked.
Yeah, he's got no clothes. He's trapped. He's hiding in a bush. Yeah.
Sorry, here's a scarf.
Yeah, They're not too nice to
Put
him.
your hat on.
They're not too nice to him, but they take some pity on him.
Yeah.
And
here's one sock.
Yeah. So they vow to end their pranking ways and stop playing with people's emotions.
Yeah.
And they both put their arms around a very bewildered Joseph Gordon-Levitt who doesn't really understand what's going on,
Mhm.
and they agree to take him for a nice dinner to sober him up a little bit. And then the credits roll. And so you might be wondering where all that came from. That is a loose retelling of another Shakespeare play called The Merry Wives of Windsor.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, all the mistaken identities and that's why it was a little bit more convoluted than usual.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm going to call that 10 Things I Hate About You 2, The Merry Wives of Wisconsin.
Sure.
I mean, and Wisconsin's not the same state, but
No.
I couldn't think of any beginning with W. So
Wyoming?
That's even further away. I don't know. Maybe they've moved.
Yeah. Wait, why does it need to be the...
It's
a
the
W
original play is The Merry Wives of Windsor. So I'm
All
just
right.
trying to make it sound the same.
Oh, well, this works very well because Seattle's in Washington State.
Oh, perfect then. I didn't know that. Okay.
Sorry, I thought you were trying to not use the word Washington or something.
Oh, no, that's even better. The Merry Wives of Washington State.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. I didn't even know that. Fantastic. Lesson learned.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's that.
Cool. Okay. Well, yeah, you've actually got a better title than me because I tried to come up with some titles before coming up with an idea, then came up with an idea that wasn't related to any title, and then forgot to write a title for my idea.
Okay.
So,
well, we'll come back. Maybe we'll be able to figure something out.
So I came up with, title-wise, 10 More Things I Hate About You.
Oh, original. Yeah, very good.
10 Things I Hate About Your Son. I don't know where that
Harsh.
came. I don't know where that came from.
Mean. Yeah.
And 10 Things I Hate About the Flu.
I mean, are all these titles for the same plot? Or?
I didn't know.
Okay, I was going to say, these are just titles.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
They're not.
10 Things I Hate About the Flu sounds like a slightly...
A coronavirus thing. Or...
Yeah, like a slightly offhand coronavirus story. Like,
yeah.
Bit
I don't know.
Dismissive, but whatever, yeah.
Well, anyway, that's nothing, and that's not related to anything I've done intentionally. So, also 20 years later, I've also done a sequel. Julia Stiles is now the mother of 2 boys.
Okay.
Heath Ledger, he sadly passed away.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking it also does kind of line up to another single parent story. It kind of rhymes with the first one.
Sure, because their mother had either died or left. So now, okay, so he did marry Julia Stiles, or at least they had 2 children, and now he's passed away, and now she's a single mother.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a setup.
So you can have like a couple of family pictures of him just on the wall. In the
sure.
background. Yeah, it could be nice. Nice little nod. Unfortunately, he seems to have very weak genes because I've not cast any sort of hunking Australians as his 2 children. Okay. I've actually cast the Lannister boys from Game of Thrones,
Joffrey and Tommen.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I can kind of see he was very blonde. So
yeah.
Interesting choice.
Just because I was.
It's surely Joffrey is about 25 now, the actor.
Yeah, I looked it up. He's actually 28, and
wow, okay.
and the other guy's 23. Jack Leeson, who did Joffrey, like he's not actually acting anymore, but like they both still look very boyish.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's a classic. You know, it wouldn't be the first teen movie to cast someone pushing 30 as a teenager. So
no, exactly. But so they had 2 boys, and so instead of it being about 2 daughters and them dating and going to prom and stuff, it's going to switch around a little bit.
Okay. So is it girls trying to manipulate so that they can win dates with boys?
Well, let me get into it.
Okay.
So, yeah, prom is coming up for the younger one. I've not actually given them names. I'll use actor names.
Okay.
So
Tommen?
Tom.
Or Dean, yeah, sorry.
Dean, yeah.
Dean's such a weird name for a young... Dean's such a middle-aged man name to me.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't know. Don't know many young Deans, but go on.
Anyway, so yeah, Dean is about 16 and Jack is about 18. Okay. So prom is coming up for Dean, and wouldn't you know it, he really wants to take this 15-year-old girl to prom.
Ooh,
but
creepy. Okay.
But well, it's not. But Julia Stiles, she's really against it.
Okay.
So the girl I've cast for this is Millicent Simmons, who you probably know from A Quiet Place.
Oh yeah. How old's she in real life?
18.
Okay.
So slightly closer to the actual age.
Sure.
But also not a ridiculous age for the 2 of them.
Okay.
But anyway, he makes the argument that like there was only 1 year between them, so I should be allowed to take her, and then maybe in
so she younger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 year younger than him. Like she's 15, he's 16.
Sure. Okay.
I'm thinking like in this scene, maybe she's there too, saying like, "Please let us go to prom together," or something.
Oh, so they do like each other, but Julia Stiles is just like, "No, my sons don't date." Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's like taken after her own father and become overprotective.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because like she's seen what boys can turn into at that sort of age when they go to parties and things go wrong, and she doesn't want that for her sons.
Okay. And the best way to stop that happening is just to repress it.
I guess, yeah. So yeah, the 2 of them they plead with her, as in Dean and the girl.
Mhm.
They plead with her, and she eventually bends and says, "Fine, but only if your older brother Jack is there too. He's pretty sensible. Also, he needs to go with someone. It's about time he made some friends."
Is the reason you've done this cast? Is he like very much like Joffrey in that he's like pure evil?
No, not at all.
I think I like that though. Like if instead of just being like, oh, she's too outspoken and she's just not interested in boys, or he's just not interested in girls, whatever, whatever. It's like, oh yeah, your brother needs a date because he's like, I'm pretty sure he's a psychopath. Like he needs to get laid and quickly. Like this is dangerous for us all. Like,
I mean, I've not got much more before I've just got the word improv written down.
Okay.
So
Right.
we'll see if we can fold that in. So yeah, after the mum says this, Dean and his girlfriend, they both give a look of despair because they know that his older brother Jack is a bit of a recluse. Sure, he's sensible, but he doesn't get on with people very well.
Okay. Because he's evil.
So the next day we meet him. He's a goth.
Oh, okay.
He has tattoos and piercings and wears guy liner. He spends his break times in the detention room, not because he's misbehaved, but because he likes to be around sad people.
Feeding off their sadness.
Yeah. In school, he mostly excels in art, and in his spare time in his attic bedroom, he paints the people he's been looking at in detention. Maybe there's a lot of red paint involved.
Okay,
Let's just
yeah.
say. He's not mute, but he may as well be, because he's the only person he'll ever talk to is his brother.
Okay. So he's very antisocial.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Julia Stiles was pretty outspoken. Like, that certainly wasn't a problem for her. So.
Yeah, so at one point during a sports lesson, all the non-sporty / interesting people are sat at the side of the pitch that don't get beat up. That's a little insight into my high school days.
Aw.
Dean pays one of the other girls to go and speak to his older brother and ask if he'd like to go to the party on Saturday.
Okay.
The girl, I've cast Elsie Fisher from 8th grade.
Oh, yeah.
Also in a gothy kind of look.
Sure, okay.
She quietly takes the money and go and asks Jack out. Okay. Where do we go from here?
Okay. So I like the setup. I like this idea of instead of being like a girl who's like, quote unquote, not hot. Not that Julia Stiles isn't hot, but I just mean like, that kind of high school thing. Like, oh, we need to turn them into a classic hottie. Yeah, it being a goth kid, a male goth kid as well. I like that setup a lot. So what could you do with a girl who's maybe instead of her also being a goth, maybe Elsie Fisher, maybe the girl that they pay is like a cheerleader.
Okay.
As he doesn't believe. I just again you can have the opposites attract kind of thing.
Actually, the cheerleader thing does kind of work a bit better maybe because the way I wanted to take this was that she goes up and she asks him, "Do you want to go to this party that's happening? Like maybe this cool band's going to be there or something." I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Goth voice.
Thank you. I didn't have that prepared. And he says yes, and he goes with her, but he doesn't pay her any attention at all. And she thinks that he's not very good at socializing with people, and he's just looking at the floor and everything. But actually, he's looking at this other guy. And it turns out that he's gay and that nobody actually knew it.
Oh, okay.
And maybe even like Julia Stiles didn't know it. And so he's just kind of not knowing how to express those feelings. And I was just thinking the right story around that.
Okay, so maybe that's the thing. So maybe maybe the girl does feign interest in him for the money, and then she starts to actually like him, but not romantically. She actually finds that she just likes him as a person. She realizes that even though he's very quiet and shy and gothy, when he opens up a little bit, he's got a great sense of humor. He's a nice person. He's not this freak that everyone thinks he is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that works.
Yeah, but maybe initially she's like, oh well, and maybe I do have feelings for this guy, and maybe the first half of it plays out like you'd expect a rom-com to. And like how like in Stranger Things, like when the most recent series when they had Maya Thurman, is it Maya Thurman, Uma Thurman and Thingy's daughter.
Oh, I vaguely remember.
Maya.
What was the character like?
She was the love interest for Steve.
But
then it turned out she was. The whole thing made it seem like she was the love interest for Steve, and then like one episode from the end, it revealed she was a lesbian. So and it was really sweet. And it was really nice. Yeah. So I think it could be like that, where it plays out where you think, oh, it's going to be this like cheerleader type meets goth, then opposites attract. It turns out he's actually a lot more open-hearted, and she's got hidden depths, and they're going to fall in love, and isn't that sweet? But actually, it goes along those routes, and then when she finally like opens her heart to him and is like, you know what? Even though you're a goth, I think I could date you. And then he's like, oh no, I'm gay.
Yeah.
And she's like, what?
I'd also like it if, how I mentioned that he uses a lot of red paint in his painting.
Yeah.
Maybe towards the end of the movie, like at this reveal, we then see this thing that he's been painting, and it's a big mural of this guy that he fancies surrounded by roses or something.
Yeah.
And like you think that it's going to be like, oh, he's like ripping limbs off and it's blood and everything, and it's like, no, he's just painting flowers and nice things.
Yeah, you could do that.
I know.
No, that could be fun. But also, what you could do then is when she finds out that he's gay, maybe once she kind of gets over her disappointment, maybe she agrees to be like his beard. And like you pretend, because maybe like I don't know if kids even would bother with beards these days, and I think times are easier for gay kids. But like I don't know, maybe he's not ready to come out yet for whatever reason, and so she agrees to be his pretend girlfriend. While he figures himself out. Maybe let's try and make this boy jealous as well. I don't know.
Sure, yeah, maybe. I was definitely thinking we could do some sort of big reveal at prom.
Yes, yeah, because it's going to end.
High school movies, you always need to end at prom.
Yeah, so it's going to have to end with him learning to be his self. It can't end with him like in a still a fake relationship. So yeah, maybe she acts as his fake girlfriend for a while, and none of her friends understand why she's dating this goth, but she's like, I just really like him. He's really nice and whatever. So and they develop a genuine friendship, and then at the end of the movie,
I was thinking that, like maybe she decides like right before prom that like, no, actually I want to go with prom with somebody that I can be romantically engaged with. Like, you're great as a friend, but like I don't want to take you to prom.
Yes.
And so he doesn't have anybody to go to prom with,
and he feels betrayed that she'd like let him down.
Yeah, and so there's that. But then also like his brother is on his side because like he wants him to have somebody to go to prom with, so because then he can go to prom.
Yeah,
with,
sure.
With his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And so then that's when the big brother admits to the little brother, like comes out and says, oh, actually I'm gay, so like stop trying to find me a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then the brother's like, maybe he expected that his little brother just wasn't going to accept it, and then he's absolutely fine. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, well, what about this guy?
Yeah, that makes things easier. Yeah.
And then he's just his wingman.
Yeah.
From then.
Yeah, that could be really nice. And then maybe he does, maybe the object of his affection actually also likes him too, or maybe some other boy, maybe there's somebody else,
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and so everyone ends up happily ever after, of course, because it's
Yeah, but that's
very nice. I mean, there's a lot you could do with that.
Something there, yeah.
Yeah. So what was that again? Oh,
didn't have a title.
10 things I hate about you, but gay.
That works.
10 things I hate about you, but gay. Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's very lazy, but
yeah. Yeah, let's just go with that.
Yeah.
Can't think of anything else.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that's that.
Very good. Okay. Should we move on quickly to listener submissions?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, this was a popular choice. We had a few this week on this film. Seems like a very well-loved teen film of the era. So Brian Markowski said, the 11th thing, you thought the first 10 were bad. Well, wait till you get a load of the 11th. It's based loosely on Shakespeare's Titus Andronicus.
Okay.
I think the idea of that is that Titus Andronicus is one of the bleakest of all the Shakespeare tragedies. Right. So that'd be like very upsetting.
Okay, yeah.
Quite a few people did Shakespeare kind of things, but we'll get to them. Duncan Flaster said 10 things to hate about you. I too hate about you.
That works.
Yeah. Harry Cullen said 10 things I loved about you. Julia Stiles reminisces about her late husband Heath Ledger while watching their son find himself and learn about love.
Nice.
That feels like a very sad, sweet little melodrama. Yeah. Probably a bit Oscar baity. Yeah. Robbie Daggett said 10 things I love about you. It takes place in 2049. Patrick and Kat, so Heath Ledger's character and Julia Stiles, reconnect at their 50-year reunion and have a great time.
Okay.
So that can be a good way to get past Heath Ledger being dead. Is that you go so far forward in time, you can just recast him as somebody who would be older, like an old man and an old woman like that. That could be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Who would he cast?
Don't know. Well, Robbie suggested Jeffrey Rush, the Australian actor, and Gina Davis.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, that could work, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rob Trainer said, 10 things I hate about you too, bitch. That could actually be the gay one. That could be like...
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that actually could work for yours. J. Alex Bond said, 10 things I hate about Irish rockers U2.
That was a little journey to get there.
Yeah, but I liked it. Yeah.
That was worth it.
Marielle S. Halland said 10 things I hate about Henry VIII Part 1. It's like another Shakespeare classic. And Dylan Easton said 102 things I hate about you. It's like 102 Dalmatians. Yeah.
102 Dalmatians is such a bad sequel title.
It really is. It could not be more lazy. Is the film going to be worse than Cruella, though? Wait and see. But finally, Sarah Pater has given us quite a lengthy one, so I thought I'd finish with this since it's a bit of effort's come into it. She's called it 11 Things You Like. and it's a loose adaptation of another Shakespeare classic, As You Like It.
Mm-hmm.
Kat and Bianca are both doctors now and engaged in a power struggle for their late father's obstetric. I can't pronounce that word. For their late father's practice.
Nice.
Because he was an obstetrician. I don't know how you pronounce that.
Mm-hmm.
The father in the original movie was a doctor, and so
Right.
the two sisters are now doctors, and they're trying to inherit his practice. Kat's got a daughter called Rosie, and Bianca has a daughter called Celia, who are both 16 years old. And the two daughters decide to take a road trip to avoid the drama. Rosie is now experimenting with their gender, and they present masculine, going by the name of Garrett. Through a series of misunderstandings and happenstance...
Why would you choose Garrett?
Don't know.
What a name.
I know. Through a series of misunderstandings and happenstance, they wind up getting hired at an Arden's Gardens, like a fast food restaurant they stop on at the trip. While there, they meet Orlando, the assistant store manager and teenage son of the owner, with whom Rosie / Garrett falls immediately in love. They also make various friends with some locals and accidentally wind up in various love triangles. At the end, Bianca and Kat arrange an ownership structure. Rosie and Garrett is out as gender fluid and using the name as Ro. They kiss Orlando, and Celia winds up with her own Arden's Garden franchise somehow. So,
wow,
that
was a lot
convoluted. I think I've not seen As You Like It in years. But I think that there's a lot of like gender confusion in that one because it's like a woman dresses as a man in that play a lot, and then there's people falling in love and they're not realizing gender stuff.
Right,
so I think that's what they're getting at, but they're trying to make it more modern rather than just like, oh, it's a woman dressed as a man. It's actually somebody who's like gender fluid. So that could be an interesting way of updating a lot of those Shakespeare plays because there's a lot of them that do that kind of, people dressing as the opposite sex kind of thing, but in kind of a way that's quite dated now. So I think that's quite interesting. So thank you for that, Sarah. That was 11 things you like. So thank you, everybody, for those sequel ideas. We ask for your listener submissions every week, a few days before we record, by putting posts out on Facebook and Twitter where you can post your ideas. So make sure you like and follow our pages if you don't want to miss out. To listen to more episodes of Beyond the Box Set, you can subscribe and browse our back catalogue on any podcasting platform, including Apple, Spotify, Google Play, and many others, all of which you can also leave a 5-star review if you so wish. You can also support us on Patreon for as much or as little as you think we're worth, and you'll be able to access all the bonus features we discussed earlier on the show. You can find all the links in the description below or at beyondtheboxset.com. And next week, Harry, it is a me pick.
Sure.
And I was just finishing up editing our Armageddon episode the other day. And on the episode, you mentioned something that kind of gave me an idea. Because you said that one of your favorite things is movies that misunderstand the future.
Yes.
Like, films that see the future in one way and don't get it. And that made me realize that there's a certain little micro genre of films that we haven't really explored yet. That would be fun. And that is films from like the early to mid 90s about the internet.
I think we've done early to mid 90s.
Oh, we have done that. But films about the internet.
Okay.
From like when the internet was a new thing.
Ah, yeah.
There were loads of them. So I
Yeah.
thought I'd just pick the most famous one. I've not seen it. I'm hoping it's good.
I think I know what you're going to pick, and I don't think I've seen it either.
The Net.
Oh, no. I thought you were going to say Hackers.
No. I think the Net's more famous, I think.
Okay.
Sandra Bullock's in it. It's
Yeah.
a big hit. So it came out in like 1985 and it's
The
all about...
Net.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
it sounds like it's going to be great fun.
that's what I feel like. This is something I'm surprised it's taken us so long to do. I think this could be a good laugh. I feel like even if it's bad, you'll have things to say.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So join us next week, listeners, for The Net.
Yeah, that sounds like it's going to be a very good time. Right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
See you next week.
Bye.
Must be Nigel with the Brie.